This podcast is about AI in higher education, education more broadly. And we've received some feedback that we're nerding out a wee bit much. We're going a wee bit much on the AI, a little too light on the educational, the pedagogy, andragogy, and everything else. So I thought I had a spare 5 minutes the other day, rare these days, and I thought I'd jump on a few of the sites I track just to look at what had changed in some of those applications in a few models that I hadn't looked at in a while. And honestly, I had to sit down, right? Whole new names, brand new functions, bunch of stuff I didn't even recognize. And it just drove home how relentless the pace of change is in this space. But then here's the thing about rapid change. It's not just about what arrives, it's about what disappears. GPT-5 dropped recently, and you had your fanboys crying about 4.0. And I'm sitting here thinking, does anyone even remember the OpenAI plugin store? Right? I mean, as a quick aside, I mean, do you, Dale? I just want to check.
Does it exist anymore? Was that a thing?
No, it's long gone, right? But I had to Google this just to double check. But at the same time, do you remember Encarta, the encyclopedia? Or Netscape Navigator? Or Mavis Beacon teaches typing? Like all cutting edge at the time, but all completely useless now. And that's the problem that Jason Lodge, educational psychologist at University of Queensland, is calling out. And his take is brutal. The AI skills we're teaching right now are tomorrow's floppy disks. Or in his words, stop teaching kids how to operate fax machines in 2025. I mean, Dale, do you remember having to learn Encarta for research or Netscape Navigator just to, quote, get on the internet? How's that skill set working out for us now?
Encarta used to be a great Sunday afternoon. You'd be flipping through different CDs, playing with the total of 3 interactive models that are actually available through the very limited software. I'm going to negate some of the commentary regarding not using some of those skill sets. I noted a growing trend with Gen Z who actually don't know how to troubleshoot certain things because technology just works for them so well. I mean, for me and you, Nick, like we know that when something doesn't work, you turn it on, turn it off again, you blow on the Nintendo 64 cartridge, you jiggle the cable a little bit, but that's not there in some of those skills. And so, yes, I kind of see it. Yes, we don't need some of the skills, but it's foundational elements that we're kind of building there. I'm sure I still need to know why we should load a CD-ROM or something like that.
Yeah, and be able to adapt if it breaks, right? Like, I mean, and troubleshoot. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, Lodge has got a year or two perhaps on us in terms of this, and he talks about learning DOS commands in primary school. I mean, ouch.
Which primary school was he at? Interesting syllabus.
It's an early start, for sure. Everyone was convinced that file management was a life skill then, but by high school, totally different interfaces, right? Universally different again. And that's the cycle. So computer literacy in the 90s or whenever you grew up was just whatever machine your school had, right? So web literacy for us probably meant Netscape Navigator, digital literacy, desktop publishing software. And each time institutions panicked, built courses, locked in frameworks. And then by the time they rolled out, the tech had already moved on. And here's Lodge's punchline, which you've nodded to actually already with the Gen Z thing, perhaps. So technology gets easier and not harder. We've gone from, I guess, punch cards or slide rules to keyboards to touchscreens to literally just talking to the damn things. So for the first time in computing history, you don't need special training to tell a machine what to do. You just need to be human. So why are we suddenly obsessed with teaching prompt engineering? That's like teaching rotary phone etiquette in the iPhone era, because these interfaces are vanishing faster than universities can design a course.
It's the same line from Carl and from last episode around AI software is releasing every single week. There's new updates every week, but we wait for a year, sometimes more, to update curriculum and what we teach in the classroom. So how can we be expected to catch up until we change that expectation, until we're able to use some of these tools to get more curriculum agility?
I had some really interesting chats with people in the UK off the back of that, actually, talking about how they lock in the year in advance for assessments. It's not semester, as we're lucky enough in at least the Australian model, or at least in some places, but yeah, year by year by year. That's forever in AI. And here's where it gets a bit funky, okay? Because Australia's AI skills agenda is the latest example. So Treasurer Jim Chalmers is out there right now promising, we'll upskill our way through the AI revolution. But the foundations are shaky as hell, right? So problem number 1, no one can even agree what AI skills are. So you remember the whole decade we spent chasing 21st century skills? 10 years of buzzwords, and I still haven't seen it in the wild. Just same thing happening now.
AI skills, I like phrasing it in terms of like perishable and non-perishable skills, which is our illustrious boss, Sherman Young, often talks to. So it's things that perhaps are good for now and they're great and we need them, and things that will stay with you forever.
Number 2, problem 2, AI itself is a moving target. So we're writing curricula for tech that Silicon Valley doesn't even know it'll keep, right? So again, the OpenAI plugin store, if you don't remember this, whole business models, whole businesses, Nascent empires were built around this, massive ecosystems that were built around wrappers that OpenAI just ate whole for lunch with GPTs when they came out. Number 3, in all the rush for skills, we're developing knowledge, right? But you can't think critically about nothing. Domain knowledge still matters, right? You can't evaluate an AI's medical output if you don't understand the medicine, or you can't check a legal brief if you've never studied law, right? Skills need content to hang on.
This is the big one to kind of consider, is that we still need to develop domain knowledge in our area of specificity to be able to evaluate this regardless of what happens. And just, I will clutch on this, and throughout this journey is that still is a pivotal thing to consider throughout.
But I've got this line that I have about like going to see a doctor and they Google a tropical disease. Fine. Go to see a doctor and they're singing the Bone song. Do you know what I mean? Like to try and remember, oh, what's this one again? Problem number 4, we're focusing on the wrong stuff, right? So while universities run prompt engineering boot camps, AI is eating routine cognitive work. The actual premium is shifting to what machines can't do. Complex reasoning, messy collaboration, and knowing how to learn when the tools change again, or how to troubleshoot, as you said, when they break. And problem 5, transferability. A lot of cognitive skills don't transfer across domains, but the ones that do, meta skills, recognizing what you don't know, finding the right expert, working through problems with others. And none of that requires AI-specific hacks to do.
Technical should start to become a bit of a dirty word, in my opinion. And that's going to be really hard for disciplines who have their entire identity kind of wrapped up in what they're skilled at. Because as it gets to more meta space around, okay, well, what do I need to learn as a human to understand this, to be able to query something, evaluate something, test something, collaborate with other people to be able to find this thing out and learn together, be able to query and work with these AI systems and maybe develop your own domain knowledge and technical skills in that space. But I think the more and more we hear technical skills, I can see employers kind of turning their nose up at it and going, well, it's great you know this, but we can teach that in the job.
In terms of that engaging with AI thing, I think Lodge would agree with you, right? Because it's quite clear. He's not anti-tech. He's anti-stupid. So instead of chasing whatever interface, Silicon Valley is selling this week, he's saying, let's build the capabilities that survive every wave. And so these might be things like self-regulated learning, knowing what you don't know, building strategies to learn and adjusting as you go. This might be information evaluation, so spotting bias, triangulating sources, telling signal from noise. This might be critical reasoning, so questioning assumptions, navigating uncertainty, understanding how we know what we know.
There's probably a bit of crossover between those two and evaluation and critical reasoning. And I would argue it's one of the biggest problems with society today in terms of the plague of stupidity. The information diet we have at the moment is so vast and so varied, and being able to consider what we're actually consuming with a critical eye rather than just kind of trusting what's coming in and only going to one data source and forming your own opinion based on that. So making sure that your opinion is informed, not just influenced.
Final one might be collaboration. So the ability to work, as we touched on a number of times, work meaningfully with other humans but not just machines. I'll be honest, it feels like we're reinventing old school critical thinking and collaboration, just with an AI-shaped spotlight on them, because these aren't AI specific. We still matter. And these are human specific. And they only work, as you said, to be alongside deep domain knowledge, not instead of it. Because AI doesn't replace reasoning, collaboration, context. It just makes them more important, because now you've got to decide when to trust the machine and when to push back. And I think the irony is quite painful, right? So when you have universities which are engaging with this, which I think we all need to do, busy teaching students how to write prompts, they might be skipping the stuff that actually matters in a world where the only constant is change. Is this feeling less like how do we prepare students for AI and more like how do we prepare them for continuous adaptation?
Skills has become a bit of a buzzword, if you ask me. I wrote it recently. We were doing some kind of brainstorming activity and I put a Z at the end. And that's kind of how I knew that maybe people aren't taking it seriously anymore. There's never been so much access to knowledge we carry it around in our pocket. We kind of take it for granted. But we're a society that's ripe for disruption because of that. And so teaching them how to learn in that environment to kind of not get the skills, but build the capability in this environment that's coming, this changing environment, that's going to be critical.
And just to close, the Lodge's bottom line, stop teaching tomorrow's fax machine. The tech will always evolve and it always gets easier to use. What doesn't change is the need for humans who can think, who can learn, who can adapt, and who can collaborate. The students learning prompt hacks today, that's tomorrow's floppy disks. The ones learning how to evaluate, how to adapt, how to build human intelligence alongside and in collaboration with machine intelligence, they'll be sorted no matter what's next.
Agreed. I highly recommend you check out the article on Jason Lodge's LinkedIn account. Thank you, Jason. You give us a lot to think about. Well, listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please leave us a review, share around within your network, and most of all, hit subscribe on whatever platform you are at. For those watching YouTube, we are on all your favorite podcast platforms. For those who love to see our faces, you can find us on YouTube too. I would love to tell you what's on next week's episode, but it's a world that moves way too fast, so you'll just have to tune in. Until then, stay curious, stay intelligent, stay the human in the loop.